Welcome back to my channel. Today I will begin a portrait that I have already done before, but since I did it in a sketchbook, I thought it needed to be redrawn on bigger paper. I don't even have a picture of the finished product, I just gave it away, but I liked it enough that I want to do it justice on bigger paper and in higher detail. After reviewing the footage though, I realize my lines are too light for the camera to see well, so I apologize for that in advance. Anyway, today I want to talk about something that has been on my mind for some time. Modern art. If you hope that I will bash it, you will be disappointed. Am I here to defend it? I wouldn't really say so either. I'm definitely more of a traditionalist who considers the late 1800s and the first decades of the 1900s as the peak of painting. I don't have much love for the works I'll be talking about. Nonetheless, this video will be about modern art and my own little take on it. Since the dawn of time, humans have been innovating and discovering new ways to convey their thoughts, observations, beliefs, and emotions through visual means. From the early paintings found in caves, to the Greek sculptures of gods, to the dreamy paintings of Impressionists and beyond. Nowadays, people feel like we have regressed in the arts. Many attribute this feeling to what they call modern art, criticizing it for being too easy, lacking meaning, or being formless. They claim these works are not art, yet, when asked, they cannot define modern art. Instead, they point at specific works to try to define it. Before we continue, we need to define modern art. Wikipedia defines it as artistic work produced during the period extending roughly from the 1860s to the 1970s, and denotes the styles and philosophies of the art produced during that era. By this incredibly broad definition, artists such as Claude Monet, John Singer Sargent, and Vincent van Gogh, among many others, would be included. I don't think this is what people usually refer to when they talk about modern art. So that definition is not going to work for us. The Museum of Modern Art, MoMA, website answers the question this way. There is no single answer, and opinions and origin stories abound. Modern art has been defined by critics and scholars as a rejection of older artistic traditions, including institutions such as royal academies, genres such as religious painting, and techniques such as linear perspective. Often, modern art has been described as a way for artists to explore the very idea of art, how it's made, what it means, and who it's for. MoMA's answer is probably close to what we think of as modern art. Its initial statement, saying there is no single answer, is probably closer to the truth. For the sake of having a somewhat clear idea of what we will discuss, I will use the term modern art to encompass 1. Works produced roughly within the last century. 2. Works that do not conform to most people's expectations of art or beauty. And 3. Works that are visual and static in nature rather than experiential or time-based. That would open the door to four-dimensional art or performative art, which deserve their own discussion. Having defined modern art for our purposes, let's explore a few points. It is too easy. Critiquing a work based on technical difficulty or the amount of time it took seems like nonsense. Many times I have heard people say, "A kid could have done that," or "I could do it easily." These phrases are not only ignorant but also condescending. They aim to put down the technical ability of an artist and ultimately question their validity. What these critics do not account for is that Pollock and Rothko did not begin painting like this. Their early paintings resemble some of Picasso's later works and those of similar artists. These artists do not lack the technical ability. Like Picasso, they developed their skills and began exploring new ways to convey what they wanted. Their later works may be produced with methods that are objectively easier than producing photorealistic acrylic paintings, but their early works prove their value to the right people, which allowed them to explore their own modes of expression. It lacks meaning. I believe art does not need to have a meaning to be art. The aesthetic movement in the 19th century emphasized making art for art's sake. These artists wanted to divorce their works from scrutiny and the overanalysis, avoiding the constant search for messages or symbolism. Though critics at the time called the movement decadent, aestheticism has become the norm. Even I am guilty of creating works with no meaning beyond the fun of making them and enjoying their aesthetic value. Commercial art and generic prints, like those sold at Hobby Lobby or Michael's, often lack soul. I would place modern art a notch above those mass-produced works. Interacting with Rothko's paintings make me think. By generating thoughts or feelings, they earn the label of art. I like Rothko more than Pollock or even Picasso because I can project my own interpretations onto his work. I often see them as abstracted landscapes. Was that his purpose? I don't know. And it doesn't matter. That's how I interpret them, and I am happy with that. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and art is subjective. It doesn't look like anything. The predominant thought when people approach non-representational art is that it is ugly and it doesn't look like anything, hence it cannot be art. This point is probably the most important to address in the matter of modern art. Non-representational art, often called abstract art, a conflation I do not like and do not partake in, is art that strays away from depicting anything at all. The divorce of art and subject seeks to bring more attention to other elements of artworks such as composition, color, and craftsmanship, such as brushwork, in their way of expression. People are entitled to their opinions. Art is subjective and beauty is too. Some may find beauty and joy in non-representational art, but most people will not feel that way. This does not mean that it is not art or that it doesn't deserve to exist. Rather, it speaks to the thousands of years of representational art and our human nature to depict what we see and know. Children naturally always seek to depict what they see in their surroundings, and when they want to express themselves, they do so through representation. Humans have been around for thousands of years, and only within the last 100 years have they been trying to convey that which cannot be depicted. It's normal that we are not welcoming to it. Though modern art is known for using rather simple techniques, having unclear meanings, and it does not look like anything, it is still art. It has a right to exist, and it serves its own little niche in this world. Now, I am not trying to get you to like modern art. I do not enjoy it myself, and I would not spend my hard-earned money on any piece of art that fits our description of modern art. Nonetheless, the hate toward modern art is quite ludicrous. People don't really hate these works. I would dare to say they are indifferent toward them. Truly, they hate that some have sold for big amounts of money. In that case, one should ask themselves, why am I mad that a work I dislike sold for that much money? The buyer may legitimately like the work, what it stands for, or what it makes them think or feel. In that case, they are entitled to spend their own money on whatever they want as long as it doesn't hurt anyone. Maybe it is because there are so many other artists whose works I enjoy and I perceive as more talented, yet their works are not as valuable. A work of art's monetary value does not reflect upon the qualities of it. Some artists are better at marketing their own work than others and have been able to market their works to those who can pay generously. Or maybe it is because those transactions could be part of money laundering within the art world. In that case, it is futile to even be angry about it. Money laundering would have happened regardless of the type of art being sold. Regardless of the reason, it is asinine to spend one's time and energy bothering to be vocal against modern art. It is going out of one's way to attack someone and or their work for the sake of one's subjective preferences. At the end of the day, modern art will never really be an obstacle in life. My call to action for you is to simply engage with the things you love and like and disregard the things you don't enjoy. If you prefer traditional art, support the museums in your area that feature these works. If you enjoy someone's art, share with others and patronize their craft. If you see a painting you don't like that sold for $1 million, who cares? There's plenty of better things to focus on than that. And if you want to mobilize against something that poses a bigger threat to artists, direct your attention toward AI art rather than modern art. As an artist, you will never enter a painting competition and lose against modern art, but you might encounter yourself losing to AI-generated art. But that is a topic for a different time. For now, enjoy the rest of your day, and I will be back with the rest of this portrait sometime soon.